part of the reason that I wanted to bring the cabinet together today is to underscore for them my belief, I think shared by most Americans, that we can't wait for Congress to actually get going on issues that are vital to the middle class. My preference is always going to be to work with Congress and to actually get legislation done. That's how we get some more permanent fixes. As I mentioned yesterday with respect to immigration, whatever we do administratively is not going to be sufficient to solve a broken immigration system.
The president has thrown down the gauntlet challenge. My way or the highway. My pen works because you people can't do your job. And he will do what he believes is necessary to save America. That's the starting point for what is now a new contentious level of discourse between the president and Congress. You thought it was going to be better? So let's begin right there. Welcome to Midpoint. She is founder and president of the New Agenda, a national organization working on issues that affect women and girls, such as advancement and gender bias. Also one who has tasted high success on Wall Street. Let's welcome Amy Siskind to the show today. Amy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we welcome back from politicalhype.com, political commentator Mariana Mancuso is right here on the set as well. Mariana, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies, we're going to get right to it because this is certainly where we have to begin. The president has basically said, you can't do the job. I'm going to do the job. That's it. I'm all finished right now, and we're going to take care of it my way or the highway. Wait a minute now. Isn't there supposed to be bipartisanship? Because I'll tell you what, I'm going to start right with you and ask this because as we get closer and closer and farther in this discussion, Amy, people are wondering, isn't the president supposed to bring us together?
I have to say the president is not the most popular, but there's somebody less popular, and that's our Congress, and we're at a low point of 6%. There are skunks in my neighborhood that are more popular than our president. So I think we have to put in context that everything is broken and right now it needs to be fixed. I take the president's point that he's being threatened by a lawsuit on Friday, and we're still waiting to hear what that's about. We haven't heard a damn thing since that was, launched on Friday. But I think his message, I agree with, is there are real problems in this country with unemployment, with other issues, with immigration that need to be fixed. And we can't have our Congress doing nothing and have bipartisanship.
All right, now let me start there and let me bring it to Mariana on this because the discussion here is a Congress that is doing nothing. Sure, there's people who are going to say they're doing absolutely nothing. Wait, aren't they doing something at least? I mean, doesn't the president have to take part of the responsibility here?
Well, absolutely. As the president, he's supposed to lead our nation. And with the new poll that was just released, he's unable to do that. We've got 54% of people don't believe he's fit to lead the country. And if he can't lead, then how is Congress supposed to fall in line and do what's necessary? He can't get anything done. And whatever they do, he's going to overstep them and not going to follow through on that. And that's a problem.
Amy, is that what leadership is, my way or the highway?
Well, technically, the way our government works is the job of Congress is to come up with bills and send them to the president to be signed. But we've had the lowest productivity in Congress this year and last year than in any Congress in history. So it's not, technically the way the branches work, it's not his job to come up with legislation. I think what he's trying to do is band-aid what's happening, which is basically an unproductive Congress who leaves now for July 4th holiday and then a big holiday in August, when a lot of Americans are suffering.
All right, Mariana, go for the Band-Aid.
But we cannot trust him to enact the laws as it is written. And right now, as we head into a recess, which, obviously you're quick to point out, Congress does not trust the president enough. The people don't trust the president enough. And back in January, he told the nation that if they were not going to get things done, he would use his pen and phone to overstep the bounds of Congress. And now he just continues to do that, and he wants to enact an executive order, and that's a problem.
Amy, isn't that fair to say? I mean, certainly the Supreme Court recently had a decision, and there have been a number of decisions against the president, basically saying that you can't take unilateral action. You take all that and then take it to the Quinnipiac poll right now, which basically says that Mitt Romney would have made a better president than Barack Obama. Isn't it fair to say that he's got to bear the lead responsibility here, and he's the one that's really got to get something done?
Well, I don't get what we could have, should have done, and we made a decision as a country, and I think it's more productive that we move forward. But there are pragmatic things that come up that our government needs to do, and they're not. For example, highway bills to do construction on highways. The president sent a letter to every state letting them know that as of August 1st, unless Congress acts, that they're going to cut the funding to fix our nation's highways. That's an example of the pragmatic types of things that aren't getting done because Congress is dysfunctional. So am I the biggest fan of President Obama? No, I was a Hillary fan. I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm less of a fan of our Congress because they're totally dysfunctional.
Okay, then let's take it from that perspective right now. I want you to hear a soundbite. This is the president ready to sign a bill, ready to get the immigration issue settled, but the key word here is bipartisan. Listen up.
As we speak, there are enough Republicans and Democrats in the House to pass an immigration bill today. I would sign it into law today. And Washington would solve a problem in a bipartisan way.
All right, Amy, bipartisanship.
He's right.
We hear this.
He's right.
Okay,
Because
he's
between
right,
the
but where's the
Democrats and the
bipartisanship, though? Where do you get, if we're talking about this, it's got to start with somebody. Who's supposed to start this, and where does this have to start to put this bipartisanship together? Please, Amy, go ahead. Okay, we might have lost her. I'm going to go to you. We'll try to get her back. Where does this start on this bipartisanship? Who's got to start this? Somebody's got to lead. Let's take the president out of it for a minute. Who's the leader?
Well, obviously it would be Congress, but with the immigration and what everyone's talking about is that what people are not remembering, because, you know, we have to remember that a lot of people in the media have a very short attention span when it comes to news, which is, you know, no offense, but that's what happens with the American public.
I'm sorry, what's your name again? Please go ahead.
You know, with the American public, that's what it is. We turn over news cycles so quickly, but back in March, we saw that the president wanted to start talking about immigration quietly, but it didn't happen until it reached a crescendo crisis. And now that it's, you know, of epic proportion and people are angry, his approval rating is tanking faster most days than some of the trends that are coming through, we are having to now do something, and now it's in imminent danger. We saw this back in June of 2012 as we went into a midterm election, and he's doing this again in another midterm election to save his party that's floundering in the midterm election process.
Let's boil this down, Amy, again, because you said that he's right, you agreed with it, but let's get to this. Who is the person then? There has to be somebody who is eligible, willing, the proper person to lead to break this bipartisan logjam up. Anybody?
Right. Well, what technically needs to happen is Boehner needs to bring these bills to the floor to be voted on. And if enough Republicans go along with the Democrats, which was the president's point, then the bills will pass. Boehner has publicly said that they refuse to act on immigration this year. So yes, it's a mess down in the southern part of our country with immigrants coming in, and there's no fix because Congress is out, you know, at the beach enjoying themselves in their barbecues, and they're not doing the work they need to be doing to solve this issue. So if you're asking me the question, the president is trying to put a Band-Aid on a situation where if Boehner would bring things to the floor to vote on, I think we would have some resolution.
Marianne is chomping at the bit. Go.
Well, immigration has just been a continuing problem, but again, because it reached an epic proportion and nobody has done anything about it, now the president wants to step up and say, you guys have to do something, and that's completely unacceptable. I mean, you know, we've seen this been a problem. It's just increasingly. We've had lax border security, but this is another example of the president continuing not to do anything until it becomes a problem. He doesn't plan and prepare. He instead waits to react, and that's just been his continuing presidency.
Amy, I got about a minute and a half left. Oh, no, well, please, go ahead. Go ahead, answer.
It's not his job. The Senate and the Congress are supposed to bring bills to the floor and vote on them,
even have a job
send them
then.
back to each other, and then send it to sign. He did do something about immigration, which is that people that are here under the age of 30 have a path to citizenship, but it's not his, and that's being criticized. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say he's not doing anything, and then when he does do something, you know, throw out this thing Friday with Boehner, which we're still waiting for the details on. Oh, we're going to sue you. For what? I mean, if Congress wants to put together a bill and vote on it, let's see where people stand. Let's let our politicians do their jobs that we're paying them to do.
I got about 45 seconds left. Amy, I'm going to ask you first. Rick Perry has said to President Obama, come to the border. We want you to come here, and we don't want it to be, as a Border Patrol representative told us a couple of minutes ago, a dog and pony show. Do you think he'll actually go and see what's good, that things are happening?
Oh, I think he's well aware of what's going on. I don't find it helpful to do these like big spectacular things where people look at problems. I mean, he's well aware of the problems that exist. But again, I keep going back to this is Congress's job to come up with legislation to deal with these issues.
Mariana, maybe it's better if Congress shows up there instead of the president?
You know, I guess if that's the case, I mean, this has just been an entire let's blame Congress for everything because the president isn't required to do anything, which I am in complete disagreement. The only time he steps up on an issue is during an election cycle because he's not a president. He's a continuing campaigning candidate for the Democrats and himself.
Amy, unfortunately, we're all out of time. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity here, and we'll absolutely do this again. Mariana Mancuso, thank you so much. Ladies, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, we will continue to talk about a lot today, including specifically that Quinnipiac poll that we've talked about. But next up, what do Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama have in common? Trust me, it is not something the White House would like you or anyone else to consider. They would certainly hope that you might forget it just as quickly as possible. That and a whole lot more right here on Midpoint, where every day we question everything.